Join us as top equestrian riders compete on the Hamilton Hunt Club Grand Prix Friday night at 9 here on TV 11.
Serving Hamilton, Toronto, and the Niagara Peninsula. This is CHCH-TV 11.
Key 590. Unlock your memories.
Just take those old records off the shelf.
I remember when rock was baby love, dancing in the street.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Unlock your memories with Key 590, Toronto's classic hits.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, Kleenex Huggies Diapers announces the best Huggies ever. New Huggies with strong tapes and a tear-proof front panel. See, elastic waistband Huggies have strong tapes to stick and stay stuck. And a new front panel that won't tear, so you can fasten and refasten for an even better fit. Stop the presses. It's happy news from Huggies.
TV 11 Newsroom, late edition. Here's Dan McLean.
Good evening, everyone. It's both a challenge and a gamble. John Turner told the House of Commons today that the Liberal-dominated Senate intends to block free trade legislation unless the Tories take the issue to the country in a general election. Prime Minister Brian Mulroney calls that hijacking the House. And as we hear in this report, so far the Tories have ignored the Liberal challenge.
John Turner tried to seize the initiative in the free trade debate by asking the Senate to stall the approval of the deal until after the next election.
I've asked Liberal senators to give Canadians an opportunity to decide whether or not they want it passed. Senator McEachen and his colleagues have assured me that they will support this request.
When an elected leader of a great national party decides to resign his leadership in favor of a few appointed senators, then the Canadian people know what's going on. This is an issue of leadership.
Mulroney remembers how recently McEachen said that he wouldn't do anything unusual to hold up free trade in the upper chamber. Now he and his cronies say they are just trying to help their leader.
We're trying to assist Mr. Turner because he doesn't have the horses, as it were, in the House of Commons to force reconsideration of the attitude that the government now has.
In Parliament, John Turner said it is not the unelected Senate that will reject free trade.
Say to the Prime Minister the issue is a simple one for him. Let the people decide. Why doesn't he call an election on this trade matter and let the people decide?
We have today a violation of one of the most fundamental precepts of British parliamentary democracy, where the leader of the Liberal Party has asked the Senate of Canada, a bunch of nominated people, appointed people, to hijack the most fundamental rights of the Canadian House of Commons. Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition wants me to run against Alan McEachen, but I want to run against the Leader of the Opposition.
Today's Liberal maneuvers are good for grabbing publicity, but it's questionable if it'll make any difference in the long run. Just last week, Mulroney said he's not that interested about the trade bill's progress in the Senate, and he intends to take another look at calling an election once the deal is passed by the Commons sometime in August. Libby Znaimer, Independent Satellite News, Ottawa.
There just aren't enough spaces to go around. That's what demonstrators told Community and Social Services Minister John Sweeney today. The protesters marched on Queen's Park, only to be held back by legislative security staff as they tried to meet with Sweeney. Eventually, the minister did meet a delegation of protesters who told him that the situation for daycare spaces is critical and getting worse in Ontario. But Sweeney defended his government's record on the issue, especially as it pertained to Metro Toronto.
We've put an additional 4,000 new spaces in this year, as we did in previous years. We've now gone from across the province from 20,000 spaces to 36,000 spaces. And Metro got its fair share every year. As a matter of fact, the first couple of years, they got considerably more than their share. In 1 year, they got 50% of the spaces that were available in the province. Now, my difficulty is that in all fairness, I've got to provide some of these spaces to North Bay, to Sudbury, to Sault Ste. Marie, to Windsor, to Hamilton, to London, to Kitchener, to Ottawa, to Kingston, to Peterborough, to Cornwall. I can't put them all in Metro. That's not fair.
Peel Regional Police are pretty sure they have a murder-suicide in their hands tonight. A relative discovered the bodies of 59-year-old Hans Perdue and his 56-year-old wife Alice at their Mississauga home. Both had died of gunshot wounds. Police say they had been having marital problems and were estranged. Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis is poised to win the U.S. Democratic Party's presidential nomination. With a commanding lead in delegate support entering the convention, the Harvard-educated son of Greek immigrants is certain to snatch the top prize in the roll call of more than 4,100 Democratic delegates.
Alabama is honored to cast the first votes, which will begin this historical march from Atlanta to Washington to reclaim the White House for the Democrats in November. Alabama cast its votes, 28 votes for the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and 37 votes for the next President of the United States, Mike Dukakis, Governor of Massachusetts.
Well, they could have spent the money here and now, but Dofasco's $500 million bid to buy Algoma Steel of Sault Ste. Marie will allow them to put off major capital expenditures here in Hamilton for some time, but not without some risk, as George Sostak now reports.
40% of Algoma's shareholders' equity was wiped out in some 5 years, more than that. The problem basically is management.
Steel analyst Jay Gordon says 5 consecutive years of financial losses at Algoma Steel between 1982 and 1986 were largely attributed to repeated management decisions to manufacture the most volatile and cyclical products in the steel industry. Algoma's products include sheet and strip, plate, seamless tubulars, structural steel, and rails. A flat market for most of those products led to the sale of the third largest steelmaker to Dofasco of Hamilton. Dofasco, which just spent over $1 billion in Hamilton for continuous casting and other technological improvements, is one of the world's most successful steelmakers, specializing in flat-rolled steel, mostly for the auto industry. Dofasco is already committed to spending another $500 million or more to build a cold reduction plant in Hamilton. All this rolling and finishing capability means Dofasco needs more raw steel. That's why it chose to buy Algoma for $560 million. Dofasco hopes to get its additional raw steel supply from Algoma, which will allow Dofasco to put off spending as much as $1.5 billion in Hamilton to increase and improve its steel supply here.
From the viewpoint of the company's shareholders, I think the risks have been increased. So I think it will add an element of volatility to Dofasco's basic business. The result will be perhaps that at the peak of the cycle, Dofasco will make even more money than it has made at previous cyclical peaks. But the price may well be that at the bottom of the cycle, Dofasco will be dragged down by the Algoma product mix, which tend to go down farther and much more disastrously than Dofasco's own products.
Dofasco's acquisition of Algoma could create benefits for both companies if the demand for steel is strong. But since all of Algoma's products are so highly cyclical, Dofasco's financial risk could increase significantly. And with many unknown factors such as transporting raw steel from Sault Ste. Marie to Hamilton for finishing, and with the uncertainty of future markets for some steel products, it could take as long as 5 years to get a meaningful assessment as to whether or not this was truly a good deal. In Hamilton, George Sostak, TV 11 Newsroom.
Just a couple of years ago, he was plucked from the South China Sea, a refugee from Vietnam. This weekend, he drowned in a much smaller body of water in the country where he had come to start a new life. Hat Chi-do died while on a fishing trip in the Grand River while trying to save a friend. Connie Smith has more.
He left behind. An older brother who died in the Vietnam War fought for the wrong side, leaving the Does virtual prisoners in their own country. An escape to the West was Hat's only chance at an education and career. He was bright. His family wanted him to go.
It's been very, very difficult, and I think when you see a young life taken, especially, so much promise, That's the hard part.
Close to 2,000 Vietnamese boat people have settled in Hamilton over the past 9 years, and Alderman John Smith helped many of them, including Hat. The Sir John A. Macdonald honors graduate was working part-time. He wanted to be a doctor. He was an active member of the church. Reverend Bin Nguyen took a small group fishing Monday at the Dunville Dam. He watched as Hat jumped in to rescue 19-year-old Tu Van Nguyen, who had fallen in.
Hat, it help, and it's hard, it's jumping.
Reverend Bin jumped in too, but the current was too strong. Dunville boater Joseph Fenyeves fished too from the boiling waters, but couldn't save Hat.
It hurt my heart so much. We remember him for long time in our life.
The last time I saw him in 1979, before I leave in my country.
Hat's uncle arrived from California today. He, too, fled persecution in his homeland after serving in the South Vietnamese Army. He had hopes of reuniting the whole family one day. Instead, he has to deliver the bad news. They'll find out by mail in a few months after the government censors the letter. Funeral services for 21-year-old Hat Chi-do will take place tomorrow. Tu Van Nguyen has been released from hospital and is recovering. In Hamilton, Connie Smith.
The Grand River Dam has claimed other victims in similar circumstances over the years. More on that from Loran Sabrin.
The dam running across Dunville's Grand River is a popular fishing hole. On warm days, a number of people walk across the top and throw their lines over the edge.
It's a great fishing hole, but I advise to be in a boat when you do it. It's slippery. It's on there's about a 4-foot drop, I think, from the top of the dam to the bottom. And it's slippery. There's no doubt about it. And especially with the heat and that, the algae builds up and stuff like this, it's definitely slippery. So I wouldn't advise anybody to stand on it and go fishing.
Gord McLeod works at the marina a short distance away. He was one of 2 men who went searching for Chi-do when he didn't resurface. They located his body after dragging for 5 minutes. The water cascades over this dam. It's been more turbulent than normal because of the heavy rains over the weekend. McLeod knows of one other tragedy that occurred in the same spot.
When I first came to town, there was 2 people drowned off the dam. Matter of fact, it was a young lad and an older gentleman. And the young lad had fallen in, and the older gentleman jumped in with hip waders on to save him, and they both drowned.
There are no danger signs posted at the dam, but those familiar with these waters and the surface of the dam say they would never set foot on it. In Dunville, Loran Sabrin, TV 11 Newsroom.
Well, it's time for our first check of the weather this evening, so let's go outside and do exactly that. Here's Matt.
Well, you know, this has got to be one of the cooler nights that we've had in quite some time. Wouldn't you say, Nick?
I would.
He would. He agrees with me on that one. It is comfortable out here. In fact, it's almost too cool for shorts, and it hasn't been that way for a long time. Now, we also have isolated showers and thunderstorms in the forecast for this evening, which is good, but it would be even better if we actually got them. Right now, not too much is happening, but there is still hope, right? We have hope for tonight and hope for tomorrow that we'll get a little more rain, because by Friday, skies are going to start to clear, and there's no hope for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday in terms of rain, but there is good hope for sunshine for those days, which is good for people on days off. It looks like it will be a decent weekend, a comfortable night tonight for sleeping, maybe some rain. What could be better? Everybody's going to be happy. It's just a beautiful world. And I'll be inside to give it to you shortly, courtesy of our weather maps. Now back inside to Dan.
Well, that's certainly one man's opinion. Thank you, Matthew. And we're going to find out what's happening in the CFL tonight. Ken has that, and of course, all the baseball. The Argos and Ottawa at it tonight.
Yeah, the Argos are happy. I'm not too sure whether their fans are too concerned about them or not. There were only 20,000 fans on hand for the opening game home opener for the Toronto Argos, and they won it 34-11. The big play of the game, a 109-yard punt return by rookie Pernell Moore. 34-11 over the Rough Riders. The Toronto Blue Jays have scored early again tonight. 1 run in the first inning, and they have a 1-0 lead on the Angels. Detroit socked it to Seattle, 12-5. Texas, New York postponed because of rain. Lots of rain, as you'll see as we go through the scoreboard. Minnesota has defeated Boston 7-5. Kansas City shut out Milwaukee 4-0 in 13 innings. Cleveland over Oakland 5-4. Chicago and Baltimore postponed, and a couple of rainouts also in the National League. Too bad they didn't have one at the Big O. They can't have one because of their roof there now, but the Expos lost their 4th in a row, 3-2. And Willard Reeves has signed a contract with the Washington Redskins of the NFL.
Okay, all of that and more coming up a little later, around 11:33. Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome.
Air Canada is about to buy 34 of the controversial Airbus A320s to replenish its aging fleet. We have a report of that and more after we have this commercial timeout. Stay tuned.
Tired of the race to find what you want? Stop! It's Majestic's Price Breakthrough. Get this TAC full-size programmable CD player at a breakthrough $199.99. Hurry, it ends Saturday. Majestic Electronic Superstores. The selection, the guarantee, the price.
At Snowden Ford, this week's special is just that, special, the 1989 Ford Probe. There are 8 to choose from, and they are priced under $15,000. This week only, we'll include rust-proofing. Experience the high-torque EFI 12-valve engine, rack and pinion steering, functional aerodynamics, balanced performance, and more. Not out of reach, just out of sight. The 1989 Ford Probe at Snowden Ford, Burlington. We have the right car at the right corner.
It's the battle of the giant monster trucks. C8 of North America's top monster trucks, featuring the car-jumping Excalibur, the high-flying Lone Ranger, Lethal Weapon, Little Barefoot, Goliath, Kodiak, and more. See the car-crunching monster tank Top Gun, plus Canada's top modified pulling trucks and tractors. It's the battle of the giant monster trucks, July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th at the Paris Fairgrounds. 3 giant shows, Friday and Saturday at 7:30 and Sunday at 2. Advance tickets at all vast Ticketmaster outlets. See part of Canada's largest monster truck show tour, July 22nd through the 24th at Paris Fairgrounds.
Tired of the race to find what you want? Stop! It's Majestic's Price Breakthrough. Get this General Electric AM/FM clock radio at a breakthrough $999. Hurry, it ends Saturday. Majestic Electronic Superstores. The selection, the guarantee, the price.
It was hailed as the aircraft of the future until one of them crashed on a demonstration run in France last month. The Airbus A320, built by a European consortium, was called into question following that tragedy. But apparently Air Canada feels those questions aren't serious enough to stop the purchase of 34 of the wide-bodied craft meant to modernize its aging fleet. Ken McDonald has more.
Air Canada is replacing its aging fleet of 727s, and this is what they're replacing it with. The European-built Airbus A320 jetliner, 34 of them at a cost of nearly $2 billion. The A320s are unique. They're the first civilian aircraft to use computerized controls instead of hydraulics. It was an Airbus A320 that crashed during a low-speed pass over an air show in France last month. 3 people died in the accident. The Transport Minister Benoit Bouchard says Air Canada officials are satisfied that crash was the result of pilot error.
There's not in any way any danger in terms of the purchase of Boeing 320 by Air Canada for the security of Canadians.
There was some political mileage in today's announcement. The maintenance and overhaul of the new aircraft will be done in Winnipeg. However, Bouchard denies that this condition of purchase is designed to make amends for Ottawa's controversial decision to award the defense maintenance contract for the CF-18 fighter to Canadair of Montreal rather than to Bristol Aerospace of Winnipeg.
Air Canada considers that it will be better to have the overhaul in Winnipeg. It has nothing to do with, it's not a political decision.
Delivery of the first 34 planes from Airbus will begin in March of 1990. Air Canada has also taken an option to buy 20 additional aircraft. Ken McDonald, Independent Satellite News, Ottawa.
And bad news for Air Canada passengers who smoke. More smoke-free flights have been announced by the national air carrier. Effective in early September, smoking will be banned on all scheduled and chartered flights in North America and to Mexico and Hawaii. Reports that the United States would block any Canadian purchase of British submarines are untrue. So says Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, who added that he has assurances from President Reagan that the U.S. would approve the deal. A decision on the purchase of French or British nuclear submarines is expected this month. Lawyers aren't cheap. Anyone who's had to deal with one knows that. But some city aldermen think that they're paying more than they should for legal help, and they're wondering who to blame. Bob Ireland explains.
Whatever reason.
Alderman Henry Merling told the Personnel Committee today that 6 months ago, the city's CAO, Lou Sage, said there was a backlog of 302 legal cases and that it could be cleaned up in 6 months for $90,000 by contracting out the work to a local legal firm, Ross and McBride. The city solicitor, Ken Roof, had disagreed, saying it would cost much more. Today, Roof told the committee that only 100 of the 302 cases had been dealt with and that the cost to the city so far was $138,000. Alderman Merling says he's not satisfied how the law firm hired is doing its job.
You hired for litigation, specifically litigation that can cost the city a lot of money. You hired Ross McBride, and in turn, they have the most junior man on the totem pole to do the litigation for the city.
How come council picked the law firm it did if it wasn't known for litigation?
The explanation was given through the chief administration officer that these are the best people.
Do you feel you get better legal service if all the jobs were tendered?
Most definitely, because that way you see what they have to offer, how well they're situated, in what branch, is it litigation?
Another committee member, Don Ross, says he's not satisfied with the policy that allows up to $10,000 to be spent on the approval of only the CAO and department head. Ross says a lot of small legal claims can add up to a big bundle.
There has to be a way of tightening that up, not necessarily by saying you can't do it, but let us know that you're doing it by way of an information item on the agenda, and then we can say, okay, wait a minute, let's have a look at this particular item, because it seems to be going on and on and on. I remember that last month and the month before that. Now we're up to $21,000. We should be doing something about that.
The Personnel Committee has asked the city solicitor to bring back a detailed report on all outstanding litigation and how much the city has spent so far. The committee has also asked the Finance Committee to re-examine the policy which allows up to $10,000 to be spent without committee approval. At Hamilton City Hall, Bob Ireland, TV 11 Newsroom.
The region of Hamilton-Wentworth is moving to a new home, but not until 1991, and not until it agrees to shell out $140 million in rent over a 20-year lease. The new regional headquarters will be part of a hotel and commercial complex to be built at Bay and Market Streets across from the Cops Coliseum. But some councilors are worried about the cost. The region will take in only $11 million in direct taxes during that same period, and there's debate whether the increase in development and jobs offsets the huge fiscal imbalance.
I believe that this building and this proposal will go ahead whether or not the region decides to use this as its headquarters. CIBC is going ahead with phase 2 of their project, and at one time they were being considered as one of the options we were looking at.
Nobody is going to build a building of this magnitude or this cost and without at least renting the minimum amount of square foot that we have going, or else they're crazy. And we're taking 165,000 square feet in the project, and that is the reason that developers coming on stream with it.
As expected, Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis won the United States Democratic Convention tonight. The vote count, it's still going on, but the count is 2,248 for Dukakis, 1,044 for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. To win the nomination, you simply need 2,082 delegate votes, and as mentioned, Dukakis already 2,248. The role to be played by the charismatic Jackson in the Dukakis presidential bid has yet to be defined. Immigration officers in Montreal were faced with more than 80 refugees on their doorstep at Dorval Airport yesterday. 56 people from Panama and Nicaragua and 24 from Iraq are claiming refugee status. And if those potential refugees do stay in Quebec, a proposal could force them to take French lessons. The law, contained in a confidential report prepared for the language minister in Quebec, was brought to light by an immigrant assistance group. Prisoners in Ontario jails have been given the right to vote. An Ontario Supreme Court ruling will allow prisoners to vote in provincial elections. A provision in Ontario's Elections Act has been struck down as unconstitutional by Mr. Justice John Bowlby. That provision had disenfranchised prison inmates. Well, music fans more accustomed to the concert hall will find Hamilton's Regional Art Gallery hitting the right note. A section of the gallery has been set aside for a special display on pianist Glenn Gould, Canada's greatest classical musician. Kathy Renwald has more.
There are the items of everyday life: keys, wallet, briefcase. The childhood photos with the family dog, the hands at the piano. But they are the hands of Glenn Gould. Glenn Gould, the legend, the living legacy, is an exhibit of sights and sounds that opened at the Art Gallery of Hamilton today and runs through to the 30th. The chair his father made him, collapsible, adjustable, is on display. His first win at the Kiwanis Music Festival. The Gould exhibit is part of the Boris Brott Summer Music Festival. Brott worked with Gould through his career. This is one collaboration about 10 years ago for the CBC.
He was a night hawk. He sort of got up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was not unusual to speak with him at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning, or to rehearse or record during the night. but it was always with an enormous sense of wonder in the world. And I didn't mind being awakened at 4 o'clock in the morning because I always got up stimulated when I was finished with that conversation. Glenn would find this morbid. Glenn would find this exhibition really morbid, and he might not have been too happy about this, but the idea of it being of use to encouraging younger people, I think, would have pleased him enormously.
Gould's grand piano will be used during 5 noon-hour concerts at the Art Gallery beginning tomorrow with a recital by Sarah and Gillian Frost. In Hamilton, Kathy Renwald, TV 11 Newsroom.
Stock markets in Toronto and New York rebounded today to post modest gains in what one analyst called a typical sluggish summer session. The Dow Jones was up over 13 points, while the TSE Composite Index closed 5 points up. The price of gold jumped $7.50, but the Canadian dollar closed down after earlier reaching its highest point in over 6 years. Now here are the figures from the stock, money, and gold markets at the close of trading today. Following that, Matt has the complete weather forecast. Ken is standing by with the Argos home opener win tonight. Stay tuned.
Could you imagine anything more exciting? Could you dream of anything more thrilling? Could you experience anything more touching? Could you ever spend a happier day?
The Esso No Trouble gasoline actually cleans carburetors and fuel injectors as you drive. Now, if some people had a little less trouble believing that, they might have a little less trouble. Presenting color, so pure, so brilliant, so dazzling. You may never, ever use any other film. Presenting Kodacolor Gold Color Film.
Let's get ready to rumble! The Shack is back.
That was in the upper deck. Oh, that one's gone.
Good manners are back.
Have you ever seen a crisp $50 bill?
Good times are back.
Woo! Bingo!
Will you please suck out the poison for me? Caddyshack 2.
Is there any money in it for me?
Yeah. Starts Friday at a theater near you.
Hello? You can hear me out there. We should all rest a little easier tonight. Don't ask me what went on. I don't know myself. We should all rest a little easier tonight, the third time I've said that, because temperatures are cool and just nice and easy and everything. And it would be nice if we saw some showers and thunderstorms. They're in the forecast. Nothing much has happened yet. Somebody's got to get up there and turn on the faucet because we could use a little more. And tomorrow is really the last day that we hold out any hope, over the next few anyway, in terms of rain. By Friday and into the weekend, we're looking at sunny skies once again, and no rain in the picture there, so it would really help if we got some right now. We have the clouds for it, and you can see as our satellite pictures progress, lots of cloud over southern Ontario today, and it's all tied in to this frontal system that is not too far to the south of us, and some showers along that line. It's just been kind of skirting our area, and we did get a few light sprinkles this afternoon, but other than that, there really hasn't been too much happening. Looking nationally, clouds into northern BC, sunny skies southward, sunshine into Alberta, also into Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Into southern Quebec, some sunny skies, clouds further to the north, clouds and showers out to the east, clear up into Iqaluit, clouds for Yellowknife, and sunshine for Whitehorse. For tomorrow, there's that frontal system which will again create some showers and thunderstorms, at least possibly. And after that, more high pressure moves in, and that means Friday will start out under cloudy skies, but as the day progresses, it will get better. We'll get into some sunshine by the afternoon, and that sunshine should carry us through a very pleasant weekend. Let's take a look now at the forecast from Environment Canada. It reads like this. Tonight, cloudy with isolated showers, the low 19 or 66. For tomorrow, variable clouds, scattered showers, thunderstorms, the high 26 or 78. And for Friday, becoming clear. Current humidity 62%, winds are east-southeast at 4. The barometer holding steady, and the present temperature 20 Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Actually, when I was out there moments ago, it felt even cooler than that. I think because that humidity isn't there, at least not to the degree it has been recently, it feels quite cool and comfortable, and you should get a good night's sleep. And hopefully we'll get some rain too. Stay tuned for Ken Welch. He's coming up with your latest in sports when Newsroom continues right after this.
What if you were in charge of Speedy Muffler King?
I go out of my way to give you a great deal, and hey, if it'd help, I'd even give you the shirt off my back.
Announcing the Speedy 110% Satisfaction Celebration. Right now, get our best muffler installed for only $39.95. Only $39.95. And it's guaranteed for as long as you own your car. And if that's not enough...
Go ahead, take it. I got plenty.
At Speedy, you're a somebody. 110% guaranteed.
Oh, I hate that. You know when you go to a wedding or a party and they play the music really loud and the person you're dancing with keeps shouting into your face? And what if they have bad breath? What if you do and that's what they're trying to tell you? Better be sure. Use Claret's. Claret's, gum or mini-mints. Only Claret's has chlorophyll and retsin to help fight bad breath. Claret's, when you want to be sure about your breath.
The Brick has it all. Incredible furniture, home appliances, and the biggest selection of audio video ever. All Sanyo, all Fisher on sale at The Brick. Fantastic sale prices. Take this deluxe Sanyo VHS VCR HQ for high quality. Sale price just $398. The Fisher 100-watt wireless remote control home entertainment system with compact digital display, dual high-speed dubbing cassette tape deck, semi-automatic turntable, the fabulous Vivid loudspeakers. The entire system sale priced just $998 and instant credit up to $2,500 at The Brick.
Ontario Place.
In the search for long-lasting allergy relief this summer, there's one allergy product you should know about. Hismanol is a long-acting antihistamine that brings you a full 24 hours of relief from allergies, yet lets you function normally. One dose of Hismanol will give you 24-hour protection from allergy symptoms, such as itchy, watery eyes and sneezing. Hismanol brings you 24 hours of long-lasting relief from allergy symptoms, yet lets you function normally. Hismanol, this summer, any summer.
Good evening, everybody. Well, the Toronto Argonauts and Ottawa Rough Riders both in search of their first win of the season as they collided on the turf at Exhibition Stadium tonight. Argos home opener, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the crowd tonight a bit later on. And they put on a show, though, the Argos did. Pernell Moore playing in his first CFL game in place of the injured Jeff Boyd. Takes a Tom Dixon punt. He breaks through the first line of coverage, then is off to the races. One man to beat, that's the kicker, Dixon, and you knew Dixon wasn't going to make the tackle. Pernell Moore with a 109-yard punt return for a touchdown. How's that for a debut? Art Schlichter drove the Riders downfield several times in the first quarter. Here he scrambles, avoids the rush, gets to the outside, darts his way down to the 5-yard line, but the Riders had to settle for a field goal. They trailed 10-3 at halftime. Argos pulled away in the third quarter. Gil the Thrill Fennerty crashes over from 3 yards out for a touchdown. And then Gilbert Renfro, the Argo starter tonight at quarterback, drops back, hits Darrell Smith, his slot back over the middle, a 20-yard touchdown strike, and it was 24-3 for Toronto. Ottawa did not get into the end zone until late in the game. Gerald Elfin on the receiving end of a touchdown pass from Todd the Marshall Dillon. This game was lost. It was over. But Dillon said, what the heck? I'll try for some more here. He went looking for Elfin again, but when Elfin bobbles the ball, Argo linebacker Don Moen intercepts. He runs about 20 yards before he finally gets his field reversed. He flips the ball to Doug Landry. Landry lets all the riders know what he thinks of them. Landry, a very loud player out there. He is one guy who will never have a wireless mic attached to him during a game. But a big disappointment tonight was the crowd, folks. Here it is. The Jays are out west. It's midweek. People are not, well, not too many are at the cottage. The game was blacked out locally, yet only 20,000 showed up. 34-11 for the Argos tonight. Willard Reeves has something in common with Michael Dukakis. He hopes to take up residence in Washington. Reeves, who was cut by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when he refused to take a pay cut, today signed with the Super Bowl champion Redskins. Reeves will be in good position to make the team since the Skins have cut George Rogers and Super Bowl hero Timmy Smith is holding out. Reeves' departure is a big loss for the CFL, though. He was the Shanley Award winner in 1984 and 3 times led the league in rushing. Former Hamilton Ticat Bernie Ruoff is back in Canada after a season in the Arena Football League. Ruoff had a successful season with a bad team, the New England Steamrollers. He connected for a league record 50-yard field goal and for 6 straight in one game, and he is now hoping to hear from either the New England Patriots or the Phoenix Cardinals of the National Football League. Okay, it's on to baseball now. The Toronto Blue Jays, I'll tell you, they've certainly enjoying their time out in California. They have won 5 out of 6 and reached the 500 mark. Tonight, the series finale with the California Angels, and again, another fast start for the Blue Jays. Willie Fraser on the mound for the Angels, replacing the ailing Mike Witt. And Fraser was ailing after this inning because Rance Mullinax had a hit there. He advanced Tony Fernandez to second, then George Bell with a chopper up the middle. It was 1-0 Toronto. Jimmy Key pitching for Toronto. And you know you're going to get a consistent, a long effort on the mound from him, and he strikes out Brian Downing right there. It is now, we have an update, 4-0 Toronto. A 3-run homer for Fred McGriff, his 20th home run of the year. What inning are they in right now? Who knows? I think it's the 3rd inning. But anyway, it's 4-0 for the Blue Jays. The Tigers scored 9 runs in the 5th inning, and they walloped Seattle 12-5. Doyle Alexander, the winning pitcher, he's 9-5. Texas and New York Yankees postponed because of rain, and Boston came up with 4 runs in the bottom of the 10th inning to come back to beat the Twins 9-7. Kansas City shut out Milwaukee 4-0. They scored all 4 of those runs in the 13th inning, as you could well imagine, because they wanted in extra innings. John Farrell struck out 10. Doug Jones earned his 23rd save for Cleveland today. And Chicago and Baltimore postponed because of rain. Lots of rain in the major leagues. Let's go to the Big O, where some guys from the Big House were showing how to steal second base. Pascual Perez, he was a pinch runner on first. He didn't have to go to second because they brought the base to him. These guys are probably in Montreal for the Comedy Festival. You've got to admit, that was pretty hilarious, wasn't it? Lock those guys up. Montreal should have locked up the Astros, though, tonight, because the Astros won this game 3-2. Montreal has now lost 4 games in a row. And Terry Poole, the Canadian, had one of the 2 home runs in that game for the Astros. New York and Cincinnati postponed because of rain. Pittsburgh, that's their 10th win in 11 games. Jim Gott, the former Blue Jay, earned his 14th save in that game. San Francisco shellacked Chicago 12-2. It was Atlanta losing to Philadelphia 4-3, and the Cards by 1 over the Dodgers 8-7. New York Penn League, Hamilton with another win, 6-5 over the Auburn Astros, and Elmira handed St. Catharines their 7th setback in a row, 3-1 the final there. It is time now for a break. When we come back, the Tour de France. Stay tuned.
There are calories and calories. A Tic Tac, for instance, has just 1.5. The kind you can burn off. Making dinner reservations, hailing cabs, breathing.
If you're tired of running all over town, department stores, stereo stores, furniture stores, discount stores, mom and pop shops, stop! It's Majestic's price breakthrough. Tremendous savings. Get this General Electric AM/FM clock radio for only $9.99. Hurry, it ends Saturday. Majestic Electronic Superstores. The selection, the guarantee, the price.
When it's ready for friends to play, there's a place to cook the day away. Fire it up, get ready, try something new. We're talking king of the grill, born to barbecue with the silver bullet. The right beer now, the right time, the right beer. Coors Light, it's right here.
Catch the light, bright taste. Coors Light.
Hold on to the silver bullet. It's the right beer now.
Yesterday, Billy got his first bike. Too bad he didn't get road lessons on how to drive it, not just ride it. That's why Petro-Canada, working closely with police forces, is sponsoring a major bike safety program that includes teaching kits and videos that will be distributed to elementary schools across the country. For further information on this program, call your local police.
Presenting color, so pure, so brilliant, so dazzling. You may never, ever use any other film. Presenting Kodacolor Gold Color Film.
Now and then, when I can't sleep, overtired, maybe a bit worried, Nitol helps. Nitol's single trusted ingredient helps me drift off into restful sleep. It may work for you. Nitol.
She can't go to sleep now. There's still some sports left. Welcome back, everybody. Well, last night I suggested that the only way Spain's Pedro Delgado could lose the Tour de France was if he took a wrong turn somewhere. Well, now something else could stand in his way. The Spanish cyclist tested positive on a drug test, and if it's confirmed Delgado used a banned substance, he could be given a time penalty or possibly be disqualified. With more on the Tour, here's Paul Henry.
The overall leader in the Tour de France cycle race, Spain's Pedro Delgado, has failed a drug test. Delgado, who is 4 minutes ahead of his nearest rival, was told the result of the test today before the start of the 18th stage. The race leader and other top riders are tested for drugs every day. Delgado said he had never taken drugs and had taken no medicine during the Tour. He has asked for a second test to be carried out. If that test is positive, Delgado could be fined and given a 10-minute time penalty, making it impossible for him to win the race. The Italian Gianni Bugno won the 18th stage of the Tour today. He completed the 93.5-kilometer trek from Rueil-sur-Touvre to Limoges in 2 hours, 12 minutes and 14 seconds. Steven Rooks of the Netherlands remains in second place, while Fenwick's Steve Bauer was still fourth overall after finishing 73rd in the pack this afternoon. In the meantime, Delgado will still retain the yellow jersey. The Tour officially concludes with the final stage in Paris on Sunday.
Well, the last time the Hamilton Steelers and Montreal Supra played soccer, they got embroiled in a post-game brawl that almost had as many kicks as the game itself. They met again tonight at Brian Timmins Stadium, a more peaceful affair with the Steelers looking for their 5th consecutive victory. The Steelers in yellow and black, and we pick it up with Jerry Azich on the left side, some nice dribbling, and he puts a shot into the left side of the net past Montreal goalie Daniel Courtois. That was the 4th goal of the year for Azich. It made it 2-0. Montreal came back with 1, but the final score 2-1 for the Steelers, and as I mentioned, their 5th straight win after a rough start to the season for them. The Intrepid shot down North York Rockets 3-1 in the only other, well, actually the only other final we have right now. The Ontario Junior, Juvenile, and Bantam Golf Championships continued today at Shadoka in Scenic Woods. 13-year-old Colin Staples of Midland captured the Bantam title in record fashion with rounds of 70 and 71. That was 8 strokes better than runner-up Craig Matthews of Matheson. Jeff Mills of the Bay of Quinte in Belleville leads the Juvenile Championship by 1 shot after 2 rounds. He has a 2-round score of 146. Junior play features a 2-way battle between local favorite Chris Gavey of Beverly and London's Greg Mitchell. Both are at 137 with 2 rounds to go, and both of those rounds remaining, and they're set for tomorrow. Gavey and Mitchell lead by 3 shots. And finally, I'd just like to invite you to join us at Duck Sports Lounge at the Collins Hotel in Dundas tomorrow night. We'll be there taping a segment for our show, the CFL Journal. The Journal airs every Saturday at 6:30. We should be there taping at about 7:30 or so. Ben Zambiazzi, Mike Samples, Phil LaChapelle, and myself. That's a look at sports, and Dan has more news right after this.
If you're tired of running all over town, department stores, stereo stores, furniture stores, discount stores, mom and pop shops, stop! It's Majestic's price breakthrough. Tremendous savings. Get this Fisher home stereo double cassette deck for only $149.95. Hurry, it ends Saturday. Majestic Electronic Superstores. The selection, the guarantee, the price.
I'll sing and you fill in the word.
Okay, King Waldorf.
Happiness is...
Splashy whales.
Happiness is...
Waving tails. It's sailing around and upside down.
Happiness is...
Marineland.
All right, ready? Happiness is...
A great big kiss.
Happiness is...
Seeing friends you miss. Kiss floating on air and the wind in your hair.
Happiness is...
Marineland.
If your house is starting to look like a warehouse, come to Public Storage. If you're moving and your old furniture doesn't fit into your new lifestyle, come to Public Storage. Public Storage, America's largest self-storage company. We rent spaces by the month for anything from business records to bedroom sets. You store it, you lock it, you keep the key. Public Storage, open 7 days. Rent now, and $1 pays your first month's rent. For the location nearest you, call 1-800-44-STORE.
Public Storage. Offer ends July 31st.
Just a little bit longer. Please, please, please stay. Tell me you're going to.
Most leading mouthwashes start off freshening breath, then quickly fade away. But Lister Mint with fluoride protects teeth while it freshens breath longer than any other leading mouthwash. So let the others finish first. When it comes to fresh breath, we prefer to finish last.
Stay.
Now you have the power to experience a miraculous event. The power to buy the quality home furnishings you've always dreamed of and pay no money down, no interest, and make no payment till 1989. The event is called Leon's No Money Miracle. And the power is in the palm of your hand. Leon's No Money Miracle. It's not just a sale, it's a miracle. Don't miss it.
UN Secretary General Javier Perez de Cuellar says he hopes to have a ceasefire agreement between Iran and Iraq in about 10 days' time. Today, 2 negotiating teams left for the Middle East to try to work out terms for an agreement. But in the Gulf today, both sides were back at it as Iraqi jets attacked 2 oil pumping stations and Iran returned the fire. We get more in this report.
At the United Nations, Secretary General Perez de Cuellar announced he was sending representatives to Iran and Iraq to work out the details of a ceasefire, which he hopes to get within 10 days.
I have asked the 2 governments to receive and to extend the full cooperation to the technical team.
Today, the Ayatollah Khomeini, who once said Iran would fight to the last drop of blood, put his personal stamp of approval on a ceasefire, saying that although it was like swallowing poison, it was in the best interests of the country. Meanwhile, the war continued. Iraqi forces gloated over the shooting down of an Iranian F-14 jet. In Baghdad, President Saddam Hussein decorated Iraqi soldiers today. The reaction there to Iran's acceptance of the ceasefire was to challenge Iran to hold immediate face-to-face peace negotiations at the UN to show its sincerity. Iran's UN ambassador quickly rejected such talks. Iraqi troops have scored a number of significant battlefield victories in recent weeks, and analysts believe this is why Iran has agreed to stop fighting.
Finally, they are realizing that Iran simply does not have the means to challenge and defy everybody and survive.
But Iraq remains suspicious that the Iranian acceptance of a ceasefire might only be a ploy to rest and rebuild its frontline forces. The United States said it would fully support the new UN mission to Iran and Iraq, and it urged both countries to move quickly to end the 8-year-old war. Richard Valeriani, NBC News, at the United Nations.
Another day of violence in the West Bank of Israel has claimed 2 more lives. Hundreds of police and soldiers attempted to put down a riot sparked by yesterday's unsolved killing of an Arab youth in the Christian quarter of Jerusalem. Today's clashes with police left 2 Palestinians dead and 7 others wounded. The FBI says it has uncovered evidence of a plot to assassinate former Marine Colonel Oliver North. The plot to kill the former national security aide came to light today as FBI agents arrested 8 men linked to pro-Libyan activities in the United States. James Polk reports.
The FBI says the man in the blue suit in front of this group being led from court in handcuffs is a Libyan intelligence operative. He is Musa Hawamda, one of 8 men arrested today in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere. The charges, misusing funds to finance pro-Libyan demonstrations in this country. But the FBI suspects him of much more than that. In a court hearing today, a federal prosecutor said Hawamda was involved in a potential plot to assassinate a high government official of the United States. The prosecutor would not name that official or give any more details. But sources tell NBC News the target was former Marine Colonel Oliver North, the key figure in the Iran-Contra scandal. The sources said the plot dates back at least 2 years. No attempt was ever made on North's life. Hawamda ran this travel agency in downtown Washington. He is a Jordanian-born American citizen, but the FBI says he is closely linked to the head of the Libyan Foreign Intelligence Service. Prosecutors say a second man in the case drew up a potential hit list. The names of American officials involved with the bombing of Libya in 1986 and sent that list back to the Libyan government. North was a White House official involved with the bombing. Officials do not have enough evidence to charge the men with the assassination plot, but they say their investigation is continuing. James Polk, NBC News, Washington.
In California tonight, thousands of acres of woodland are burning out of control. The area has been sweltering, record dry heat, but as David Burrington reports tonight, officials believe not all the fires were started by the heat.
Drought and hot weather have left Northern California tinder dry, so officials were prepared for extreme fire danger. They were not prepared for an arsonist, who investigators say set 2 fires yesterday, both out of control today, in the Sierra foothills west of Sacramento. The arsonist is now blamed for 13 fires in the area, and there's fear he'll set more.
That is a problem, especially when we have so many resources tied up on this fire.
Do you have the resources to go to another fire?
We will find them.
16,000 acres have already burned, at least 4 houses destroyed, several small towns threatened. Many homes were temporarily evacuated.
When I saw the flames clearing the ridge, I knew it was time to leave.
Commanders hope to have the fires contained in a few days, but they see this as only the beginning of what could be a very tough California fire season. The same holds for 28 other states where fire danger is considered high or extreme. This includes parts of the East and Midwest and all of the western states, plus Alaska. In Alaska, the fire season is already long underway, with 50 fires burning almost 250,000 acres. One huge blaze has been out of control for 3 months. Tonight, fires are also burning in Wyoming, in Yellowstone Park, in northwestern Colorado, and central Idaho, in what Forest Service officers are already saying could be the worst fire season in 70 years. David Burrington, NBC News in the Sierra foothills.
Little Emma Holston touched down in Fredericton this afternoon as her bid to become the youngest person ever to fly across Canada moved one step closer to completion. And one thing is certain, the 9-year-old from Medicine Hat has become almost as deft with the media as she has with the controls of an airplane.
9-year-old Emma Holston left Montreal at about noon. Her single-engine plane touched down in Fredericton a half-hour ahead of schedule, her first visit to the Maritimes. She started flying when she was 6 years old, but since she left Victoria, BC a week and a half ago, she's been getting lots of practice. Each landing just gets easier.
Hi there.
Hi. Thanks.
How was the flight?
It was nice.
Was the weather bad on the way in from Montreal?
No.
No problems?
No.
It was just scattered clouds all the way. Beautiful at 9,500 feet. Just sailed right along, 2 hours and 40 minutes. No problem at all.
Emma has drawn crowds of onlookers at every stop on her cross-Canada flight and lots of media attention. By now, she's an old pro.
What do you think of all this media attention, Emma? What do you think of all these reporters here?
I just answered that one.
But after the plane's safely on the ground and the cameras are off, it's all 9-year-old.
Well, lose weight and then you need meat.
Emma will spend the night in Fredericton. Then tomorrow it's off to Charlottetown and then Sydney. If the weather cooperates, she'll continue on to St. John's, where she'll become the youngest pilot to fly across Canada. In Fredericton, Colleen McEdwards, Atlantic Pulse.
A con man is on the loose in the Hamilton region, preying upon unsuspecting homeowners. Police say a woman first calls victims, saying a telephone repairman is on his way. A short time later, a man carrying a Bell Canada binder and tool case appears at the door. The ruse is suspected to be a cover for theft. The suspect is described as a 20-year-old white male with curly blonde hair, a yellow T-shirt, and blue jeans. Well, he was the man who brought you the pictures that we could not. Lyle Glover was a courtroom artist here on TV 11. His brilliant sketches were the envy of many television stations around the country. He died this week at the age of 67 from a heart attack. We remember Lyle, as Connie Smith did in her 1982 profile of an artist and his work.
Lyle Glover, court artist, also well known as a magazine illustrator, art teacher, newspaper cartoonist. He was 67. The self-professed jazz nut lived in Grimsby with his wife Wilhelmina, where he did much of his work. Often his easel was a courtroom table.
When you go into court, the first thing you've got to do is get the accused, the lawyers, the judge, Crown, any witnesses that are coming up, and you've got to be fast and accurate. I'm doing with you now, I do just sketch with a brown pen, and then go back to the station, and then add the color. I make color notes, and then that's taken directly from there onto the cameras for the 6 o'clock news.
But there's another side to the talent of Lyle Glover.
I enjoy the court work. As commercial work, I enjoy it the most. But as far as general commercial work goes, and I guess all the artists will back me up on this, and the painting is much more enjoyable, much more creative.
How would you describe your style?
Gee, I don't know. Breezy, I guess. At least I try to make it that way. Impressionistic, I guess, is what I'm trying for. Not too tight. There's a striving there when you're painting. There's it never turns out exactly like you want it to, so you keep plugging and plugging.
Funeral services for Lyle Glover will be held tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the Stonehouse Whitcomb Funeral Home in Grimsby. The Greek government says it believes the Abu Nidal terrorist group was behind the July 11th attack on the cruise ship, the City of Poros. The attack left 9 people dead, 98 others wounded when gunmen opened fire on passengers. The Athens government says the attack was planned by the same man who organized the 1978 assassination in Cyprus. The Abu Nidal group is funded by Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Well, silence was golden for Jessica Hahn, but now a federal bankruptcy judge is making a big noise about the hush money she received from the PTL Club. The judges ruled that Hahn should return the $150,000 payoff she got from the PTL because she publicized her sexual trieste with former PTL president Jim Baker. Hahn was given the money in exchange for silence over her alleged sexual assault. Well, we are heading for another day, a little bit of mixture, a little bit of cloud, a little bit of rain perhaps, a little bit of sun, a whole bunch of different things tomorrow.
That's right, but the way it looks right now, we're going to get on track just in time for the weekend, so that's good.
Friday.
And in the meantime, we may get some rain, which will be good too.
Yeah, we need it still.
That's right.
Well, let's hear about
Let's take a look at it. Tomorrow, variable clouds, scattered showers, thunderstorms, the high 26 or 78. For Friday, becoming clear. Current humidity 62%, winds are east-southeast at 4 kilometers per hour. The barometer is holding steady, and the present temperature 20. That is 68 Fahrenheit. Dan?
Recapping our news tonight, protesters marched in Queen's Park today demanding more daycare spaces in Ontario. Community and Social Services Minister John Sweeney defended his government's record and maintains the province has no more money for daycare this year. Peel Regional Police are investigating a suspected murder-suicide. The bodies of 59-year-old Hans Perdue and his wife Alice were discovered in their Mississauga home. Air Canada's decided to spend $1.8 billion to buy 34 European-built Airbus aircraft. The purchase comes less than a month after the crash of one of the jets in France, claiming 3 lives. Air Canada says pilot error caused that crash. As expected, Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis captured the U.S. Democratic Party's presidential nomination tonight. He'll face Republican Vice President George Bush in the November election. And our final story, federal Liberal leader John Turner is trying to force Prime Minister Mulroney to call an election over free trade. Turner says the Senate will block legislation implementing the deal until a vote is held in the House of Commons. And that is TV 11 Newsroom, our late edition for this evening, and that is our time. We're being told we have to go. Back tomorrow, 5:30 for early edition. We hope you can join us for that. For Matt, Ken, and all of us on The Late Show, thanks for watching. I'm Dan McLean. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Get a play-by-play update of the week's football news on the CFL Journal with host Ken Welsh, Saturday at 6:30 here on CHCH-TV 11.
What's your pick for the weekend?
Steeler beer.
What, because of the great taste?
Yeah, and I always play the percentages.
Now in Ontario, save 10% off the regular price of Steeler.
Pro Golf has offered the largest inventory of brand-name golf equipment for over 25 years. We are the golf professionals, and our 80-store buying power assures you of the lowest prices every day, and we guarantee it.
This week only, get Spalding Tour Edition Exotes at just $9.95 per dozen, limit 2 per customer.
These sale prices are available only at these Pro Golf locations. Pro Golf. We discount everything but service.
Tired of the race to find what you want? Stop! It's Majestic's Price Breakthrough. Get this Fisher home stereo double cassette deck at a breakthrough $149.95. Hurry, it ends Saturday. Majestic Electronic Superstores. The selection, the guarantee, the price.